In the midst of the uncertainty and turmoil surrounding healthcare policy, Senate Republicans are highlighting its importance with the announcement of a new three-committee structure devoted to policy and reform. Joining me now in the studio is the chair of the new policy committee focused on aging and long-term care, Senator Karin Housley. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Shannon. I'm excited to be here with you.
This policy committee already exists in the House. What prompted the Senate to add it on this side?
I really begged for it, and I shouldn't say that, but I really did. I knew they had it in the House for all of these years, and we didn't have it on the Senate side. And once we took the majority in November, starting in January, I called Senator Loehrke and said, could we please niche out a committee for aging and long-term care, because it is such an important issue in this state. And we didn't have a specific committee that addressed it before. And there are so many issues that need to go through this committee that we do need to focus on with our aging community growing every single year that I begged.
And you got it.
And I got it. And then I said, oh, and by the way, can I be the chair? Mm-hmm. So he agreed. So and the whole leadership committee agreed. So I'm very excited about it.
Well, and in introducing this committee, Senator Loehrke said that you'll bring care and compassion to this work. So what in particular interests you, and what policy ideas do you have?
It has this issue of long-term care and aging, and it's going to happen to all of us, but in particular over the last 5 years, my parents moved into that category, and we had to move them into assisted living. My mom has Alzheimer's. My dad had heart disease, and so they moved into one of the assisted living facilities. And for being the end user, because with the dementia and the Alzheimer's and my dad's heart disease, I was the main caregiver before then. And so to navigate through all of that and the different types of facilities, nursing home, assisted living, or in-home care, all of that, and the
There's
cost.
a lot of options,
yeah,
yes.
And that's what really got me interested. And I felt that we needed to make it simpler for the end user too. And a lot has happened in the last 5 years in long-term care and assisted living. But that's where my interests stem from. And now my father passed away a year ago, but my mother is still living in and she's great. But just seeing the workers in these facilities, the nurses, the turnover, the amazing job that they do, and the help that they really, really do need in these homes. So that's some of my ideas, or one of them is how do we increase the work shortage that we have in this particular industry?
Well, and it was a question I was going to do later, but let's do it now. Minnesota already has a tight labor market, so how can we ensure the future supply of long-term care workers, nurses, home health aides, as you mentioned? Do you have some ideas about how we can keep that pool growing and stable?
And one of the really hard things, and this is in talking to all of the nurses and the LPNs and the CAs in the industry, the pay. You know, it is really, really difficult to, and we have made some changes in that area, but you will have a hospital attached to an assisted living home, and at first chance, the nurse from the assisted living will move over to the hospital because they can make more money. And so I think we really do have to address that, and to keep those people working there, and then to really open up the career opportunities for our youth, and maybe have grants or programs that have been proven to be successful, to introduce this field to the younger kids, that this is something that they could go into.
So this problem is going to continue to grow because people 65 and older will be 1/5 of our population by 2030. And people at this point in their lives often have chronic diseases, which means increased health care costs. What can we do to ensure that there's enough funding available to help pay so much of these costs into the future?
And that's the thing that Minnesotans are addressing now. Every single year, 60,000 people, the size of the city of Woodbury, are turning 65. So it's a large group of people which are going to have all of these issues going forward. The longer we can keep these people in their homes, the less expensive it is. So if we could get some innovative ideas with technology to try, or Meals on Wheels, or more deliverable in-care, in-home services for these people, that is the least expensive route to address this. But then going forward, we are going to have to find some efficient ways to address the financial situation.
One of the efficiencies I've heard about is this emerging field of palliative care. And yes, I think it was just yesterday, some advocates for that type of care spoke before the Legislative Healthcare Workforce Commission. Do you have any thoughts on this kind of care that makes people comfortable but doesn't necessarily try to cure their diseases as they age?
And I think that's something that is really important for us to talk with our own children and to talk to our parents about, and what do they want for their quality of life, end of life care to be. I don't have any specific solutions to it, but it's something that we really, really need to address and talk about, and I think the Aging and Long-Term Care Committee would be a perfect place to do that, to hash out some of those things.
And one last thing before we go, there have been several stories in the news lately of elder neglect and abuse. Is this something that will fall under the purview of your committee?
I hope so, because that's another issue that I've seen happen over the last 5 years in the situation, and also taking advantage of vulnerable adults, exploitation.
Financially.
It's near and dear to me, and I really do hope those issues come through my committee, because those need to be addressed.
Senator Housley, I can see your passion, and I really look forward to the reading and seeing the work of your committee. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you. Have me back.
I will.
Thank you.